Hi everyone, I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and welcome to Countyline, the public access television program featuring news and information about Allen County government. And we are today at the Fort Wayne Allen County Office of Homeland Security in the Emergency Operations Center. And we're going to talk about winter weather preparedness. It's getting plenty cold out, and the calendar definitely indicating that winter weather is upon us, and we want to help you get ready before the storms hit. And Adam Welch is the planning coordinator with the Office of Homeland Security, and he's joining us today to give us some advice. And Adam, first of all, thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you very much. This is a very important issue. A lot of times we'll find that winter weather preparedness, I think, is something that we do with just our common sense. But I think the key to winter weather preparedness is making sure we're doing it months in advance instead of a few hours before, when panic sets in and the shovels and generators are being taken. So to make sure the plan's in place and our kits are in place and we're good to go when the storm hits.
Yeah, people sometimes think, well, maybe if I wait till, I don't know, around the holidays or the first part of January, I'll be pretty safe. But we've been known to get significant snowfall as early as the month of November.
Actually, the average date for the first significant snowfall is November 19th in Indiana. So,
okay, well, let's talk first of all about the home and how to best prepare for a winter storm coming.
There are lots of different facets of the home. I think the one thing to start on is insurance. Check with your insurance company. Make sure you find out what's covered with your insurance plan when it comes to your house damage and winter weather. Number two would be your gutters. Clean your gutters. Make sure the gutters are clean, because a lot of times if those get built up with ice and that expands, that can do some damage to your home, your ceilings, and your walls. And make sure you have, just like you would in your car, which I'm sure we'll talk about, make sure you have a preparedness kit in your home with food and water and non-perishable food, such as high grain, granola bars. And make sure you don't forget about the babies and the elderly in the homes as well, because a lot of times those need special items that the average person wouldn't.
We've had in the past 2 or 3 winters some significant events occur, especially ice storms that can knock out power for a while. So what's the best way to prepare for a possible scenario like that?
Great question. The number one thing I could say is right now, as we were saying before, take a look around your home and see where your dead tree limbs might be, and make sure those are cut down. And that's the big one. And when it comes to heating, make sure you have safe heating, and just make sure you understand how your home's set up and what the potential hazards are within your home when it comes to that stuff.
You could be thinking along the lines of like a kerosene heater. Absolutely. Or a generator, but again, when you're talking kerosene heaters, that's something you also want to take great care with.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about cars now and being ready in case you have to be out on the highway during a significant winter storm. What are some tips you can give folks?
To build off of what we were saying about the preparedness kit, you're again going to want a preparedness kit in your car. Don't forget the obvious things sometimes that we don't remember, such as a shovel. Take a shovel with you. Take kitty litter to put on your tires. Make sure it's non-chunking right. Kitty litter. Blankets, covers, take some matches or candles to light. And if for whatever reason your car would get stuck, make sure instead of when you have your doors locked, don't try to heat the lock with water. Make sure you heat the key and put it in as well. Also, make sure when you're traveling you understand your car and its winter weather capabilities. Its driving capabilities and the dangers and the obvious. Clean off your windows, clean off your ice, and take a snow brush with you when you're traveling.
Now, speaking of vehicles, we have something new in Indiana starting with this winter, a new system for alerting the public to hazardous driving situations. Tell us a little bit about how that came about and what the new system is.
The big component to the new changes in Indiana is making sure every county within the state is unified and has the same system. For a lot of citizens, you're not going to see much of a change. As a matter of fact, it's going to echo completely with what the severe weather. You have your advisory, your watch, and your warning. So you won't see too many changes. At the end of the day, make sure you always go back to your local media, because that's where we're going to be sending stuff, and that's where we're going to be notifying the public of any emergencies.
And advisory is the least of the three. Then you move to watch, and then warning, which comes into effect if an emergency situation has been declared within a county.
That is correct. And at the end of the day, the individuals who really have the true say on that, it's going to be the people with their feet on the ground. It's going to be the sheriff's department and the highway department, who are out there early in the morning before the rush hour traffic hits, and they're going to be talking to us and the commissioners, etc., letting us know what's going out on the field.
So no more colors, no more numbers. You don't have to try to figure out, is one the worst or is four the worst, and it will be unified throughout the state. Everybody will be going through the same system. Now, we talked about the warning situation and if a declared emergency takes place, and that's where this facility comes into play, the Emergency Operations Center. Tell us a little bit about the function of this facility and how it would be used.
This facility can be activated based upon our director's knowledge and the mayor and the commissioners. Kind of a unified concept. We bring everyone here. It's the command center. It's the operations center. So we're doing a lot of information sharing with people out in the field. We're helping get resources, food to first responders, to citizens, shelters, etc. And as you can see from the multicolored vests, each one of these positions is a function of local government, and we can bring up to 25 people here to help run the operations center and to communicate back downtown and with those in the field.
And it really is a communication center. When you talk about everybody being here, not necessarily are the decision makers here, but this is an area, as you say, where different components that might be in play during an emergency situation at least have representation here, and a communication can take place.
Different functions, exactly. The decision makers, like you're saying, the policy makers, they'll be downtown, they'll be doing their leading. And like you were saying, Mike, each one of these is a broad range from transportation to shelter to firefighting and police. So they can all be on one room communicating more of the big picture level while everyone else in the field is doing their thing.
EMS is here. I notice energy representatives from some of the utility companies, first responders, transportation, as you mentioned, just a lot of different functions.
And it does, like you said, it does not need to be public sector. We have a lot of private sector individuals, nonprofits, social service agencies who would come here and represent their agencies.
Well, Adam, thanks for taking time to join us and tell us a little good advice about being ready for winter and explaining a little bit about the Emergency Operations Center here at the Public Safety Academy. Thanks again.
Very much, Mike. Thank you.
Well, in 2011, one topic that dominated the headlines more than any other was the economy, not just in our nation, but worldwide. And much of the news was not particularly positive. Here in Allen County, we had some tough times as well, but we had a lot of good stories as well. New industry coming into our community and existing businesses that are investing in our area. A number of different entities played roles in that, including Allen County government. And we're going to talk a little bit about the relationship between economic development agencies and government with our guest today. And Nelson Peters, Allen County Commissioner, is here with us, as well as Andy Udris, who's the president of the Alliance. And gentlemen, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Andy, talk a little bit about some of the high points of economic development in our community in the past year.
Well, obviously 2010 was a very low year. It was probably one of our worst years in the last 5 or 6. But this year actually is turning out to be probably the best year in the Alliance's 11-year history. We're almost at a total of $500 million of new private investment. We've signed contracts to retain almost 7,000 jobs. We've created almost 1,500 new jobs upcoming in the next year. And a lot of those jobs are going to have salaries averaging $60,000 a year. So it's actually been a wonderful year, and hopefully next year will be the same.
How about some specific instances where we've seen businesses either come into the community or grow?
Well, I think everyone's heard about the General Motors plant. They made one of their largest investments in the country, $275 million here. They have 3,300 people already employed, very well paying, high-paying jobs, and they're adding another 150 positions to that roster. So we're very pleased with that. General Mills, a large food processing distributing facility here in Fort Wayne, a 1.5 million square foot warehouse project currently under construction, one of the largest in the country. We also had B.F. Goodrich upgrade their plant. Their plant had their actually 50th anniversary this year. They put another $40 to $50 million of new investment. So we're really very pleased. We have a lot of major corporations that are doing things. We also have some smaller companies. Up in Grable, we had Art3 Composites. It's a company that's actually out of Iowa that located here because we had an existing facility, and it's very competitive. Next door to them, not very far, is a Gator Case, where they make cases for instruments. So it's actually, we do large and small, and it's been very good.
And to top things off, we're mentioned in an article in a publication called Fiscal Times, saying that the Fort Wayne metro area has the highest job growth rate in the nation. What do you attribute this to?
Well, I think one, it says how bad things are elsewhere. I think that really we have lost approximately 18 to 20,000 jobs over the last 2 years since the recession has begun. We've received or been able to create another 8,000 back, so we still have 10,000 to go. A lot of those jobs are in construction. We saw a 15% increase in construction, but then we also saw a 5% increase in durable goods jobs. And when we looked at all the other categories, we saw at least 3 to 6% growth rate in those areas. So it's really pretty much across the board for Allen County and Whitley and for Wells County, which constitute the metropolitan area for us.
Commissioner Peters, as we mentioned at the outset, government plays a role in working with agencies like the Alliance in trying to bring business and industry here. Tell us about a few of the things that county government does to try to help in that regard.
Well, Mike, there's really a lot to that. There's a lot of moving parts, and one of the things that I'd love to think that we've helped with is to formulate a sense of regionalism, in that we've got to work together as a region to make some of these things work. It's no longer Fort Wayne and Allen County versus the world. It's Fort Wayne and Allen County and northeastern Indiana now versus the Indianapolis, Marion counties, Hamilton counties, Johnson counties of the world. And so I'd like to think that we've helped forge some sense that we've all got to work together to make this make this thing work. Now, in doing that, you know, I'm happy to say that we've been creative with shovel-ready sites. We spent a lot of money in the last year preparing property in the way of zoning, in the way of infrastructure, in the way of utilities, to ensure that we can have businesses come in and cut right through the red tape to locate right here. Businesses are now saying, we don't want to have to deal with the bureaucracy. So we've been able to do a lot of that, and because of that, we've had successes with SDI and with General Mills and Franklin Electric and companies like that. The other thing we've done is we've gotten creative with tax incremental financing and tax abatement programs. In working with one of our community partners, the city of Fort Wayne, we've developed a plan right now where the Alliance, who runs front for all of the economic development projects, knows now what they can take to a prospective client in the way of benefits and incentives.
Let's touch on one thing you talked about, tax abatements. Those get some criticism from people, some people in the community when they hear about that. Explain in a nutshell, I guess, a little bit exactly what a tax abatement is and why it's such an important part for bringing in some industries.
You know, I think that tax abatements can be overused, but essentially what it is a tool that forgives payment based on a promised number of jobs by a company when they move into a community. It may range anywhere from 3 to 5 to 10 years based on their commitment for the number of jobs. It certainly can be overused, but by the same token, we're in a climate right now, as I mentioned, from a regional perspective, and most specifically from a county perspective, because that's who we represent, the citizens of Allen County. We're in a position where we've got to create competitive packages. We looked at a situation most recently where the company very well could have gone to Michigan or to Texas because of what those respective states had on the table. So you use tax abatement simply to get them to the table. We've got to be competitive in this game these days, and we've got to be able to put the things on the table that other states, other regions are.
Andy, how important is the relationship you have with government when you go out and compete against some of these other communities and states to bring in industries?
Well, when you asked about that reporter from the Fiscal Times, he asked me why is Fort Wayne the most competitive area in jobs this year, and I cited that specific reason, that the cooperation we've had from our county government particularly and the city government has been phenomenal. We've been able to put packages quickly on the table. We look professional. When they actually meet our city officials, understand how these incentives work, and really people need to understand, yes, we may give away a little taxes here or there in some program areas, but in the long run we've always generated more taxes than what we've given away. So like it's on a return on investment basis. We've always had a higher return on investment than anything we've offered. So that's the good public policy that we have here in Fort Wayne, and that's why I see so many companies wanting to locate here.
Another area where government is working to try and make this area more friendly to business, increase the business climate here, is in the area of permitting. I know we've talked about this on previous programs, but the committee that's been formed involving city and county government officials working to try and make the permitting process easier for business and industries looking to come here.
Right. City and county have been working together right now to make sure that it's as easy for businesses to work through the bureaucracy as we possibly can. We've got some technological changes that we'll be bringing to the forefront pretty soon. We have really pushed customer relations in terms of our counter people. And one of the other tenets of that entire fix is to codify a lot of the zoning ordinances so that those people who are going to the county, whether it be a City of Fort Wayne project or an Allen County project, can get the same answer, can get a consistent answer.
Okay. Andy, what does 2012 look like right now, if you peer into your crystal ball?
Well,
and kind of give us an idea of how how you think we're going to fit in next year in terms of business and industry?
Well, we look at what we call leads, and currently last year at this time we had 152 leads, projects that we were actively trying to attract or expand here in Allen County. This year we're up to 205. So that just says that we have a lot of projects that are on the table. We have a lot of customers that are trying to decide whether they're going to make investments or not this year. I think a lot of people are waiting to see what happens at the federal level with the doomsday bill, whether the Defense Department's going to get cut. That has a major impact on what happens here in Fort Wayne. So there are a lot of things beyond our control, but right now the word is getting out that we're a competitive location and people should at least come see us.
And diversification is important also. You're looking at a lot of different, of those 200, I'm sure a lot of different types of businesses.
Yeah, you don't want your eggs all in one basket because obviously, for instance, like in the defense industry, if there's a cutback at the federal level, then we need to find jobs elsewhere that can pay for the services and the kinds of quality of life that we have here.
And you want to make sure that you're not throwing good money after bad in the event that you've got something that really doesn't fit into some of the core clusters that we've looked at as a community.
The other thing we have for 2012 is that the county commissioners and the city council and the chamber are working with us to create a strategic economic development plan that's going to be for the next 5 to 10 years, actually even 20 years in the future. And the timing couldn't be better because there are a lot of significant funding resources that we have available to us now that we didn't have before, and we can actually get some strategic things done that hopefully will bring new jobs 20, 30 years from now.
Can you give us a little idea of what some of the parts of that will involve?
A very simple one. Today I saw it actually in Inside Indiana Business was the fact that we're going to focus a lot more on research and development to get our universities engaged with our corporations here to create the next generation of new products. One of our board members clearly said it at our retreat that if we can design it and create that product here, we have a much better chance of manufacturing it here. And if that's the case, then we're going to create good jobs for people. So we need to have that balance of creativity along with the hardworking and good ethic that we have here.
And what happens with what Andy just said is these create standards for which his organization can now be held accountable by the funding organizations that help pay the bill for economic development in this community.
And we talked about several of the economic incentives that government can provide, but obviously there are the other services the government provides, the infrastructure that's needed for some of these businesses, and that's something else you'll be looking at as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Without roads, without utilities, we can't compete either.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thanks for joining us and explaining a little more about the relationship between government, economic development, and how those two fit together and help our community out. We appreciate it, and we look forward to what 2012 has to hold for us. Well, it's important for local government to work hand in hand with state government to solve any of the problems we have here in Indiana and to move the state forward. And one way to do that is to gain a better understanding of how local government works. And that's the idea behind the program that the Association of Indiana Counties has in place. And on this day, we're pleased to have with us State Representative Kathy Hewer, who represents District 83, which includes part of Allen County. And she is kind of job shadowing, I guess you would say, a number of different county offices to get an idea of the inner workings of those offices. Also with us is Allen County Commissioner Therese Brown, who is the president of the Association of Indiana Counties, the organization that has this program in place. And we're going to start with Representative Hewer, and we should mention she's playing injured today. She is not letting a cold and scratchy throat keep her from participating in this program. First of all, Representative Hewer, tell us a little bit about what got you interested in participating in this.
Primarily just the opportunity to broaden my knowledge base. We deal with so many issues that affect both cities and counties, and unless I am well informed and understand what some of these issues are or how pending legislation may affect the cities or counties, I'm not going to be doing a service, I believe, to the constituents.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you visited so far in county government.
I've spent considerable time today in the auditor's office and in the assessor's office. Therese was kind enough today to let me tour the new city-county building, which has been indeed a pleasure.
And Commissioner, tell us a little bit about what about this program is going to be beneficial from a county government standpoint.
I think, Mike, the potential is that state legislators such as Representative Hewer have the opportunity of seeing the interaction of the legislation that they put in place. There's an opportunity to understand that even though there are words on a page and they may have significant impact and reasoning why they're passed, that there's actually an application that has to be put forth to make it happen. And sometimes, you know, good thoughts make great laws, but the actual application can be very difficult to make that happen. And it may not have the end that the intent had from the get-go. So it's a good arrangement that the state legislators and the local office holders and employees get to have the interaction so that they can understand the intent as well as what the end product is.
I know Allen County government generally travels to Indianapolis at least once a year to meet with folks like Representative Hewer and the local lawmakers to communicate and make one-on-one contact there. How important is it for these folks to, I guess, visit your turf, so to speak?
I think it's a good collaborative opportunity. I think it's one of those things where you can sometimes be in a fishbowl and everybody coming to you doesn't really give that real life experience of what the actual implications are, and it builds a bridge of relationships so that that legislator knows that they can contact any of the office holders or individuals impacted by pending legislation so that they can have that connection and maybe ferret through it and maybe come up with a better piece of legislation that can do more of what the intent would be. So it's absolutely imperative that it be a two-way street, and I think Representative Hewer is exemplifying that by coming to Allen County today.
And to see the process at work is important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny that there are times that, you know, good legislation goes through, but then it goes to a state agency for it to go through all the, now check this box, do this, and forms get created, and by the time it gets to the local level, it could be conceivably radically different than what the intent is. So then that causes for us, our legislative liaison, Beth Locke, to get a hold of the legislator who may have either championed it or maybe a good ear for us to try to say, was this your intent? And if it was, this is how it kind of came out in the end, and now we need to maybe do some correcting here. So it helps build that bridge, but ultimately that relationship is extremely important.
And this is something AIC is trying to get going statewide.
Absolutely. I think sometimes there's situations where there's a disconnect between legislators and local government. You know, philosophically, there can be different things that could be going on that might be appropriate, but yet if you don't have input from the local level, you really can't quite get what the impact's going to be to the constituents we all serve.
Well, thanks so much for taking time to join us and to explain a little bit about this program, and best of luck to both of you, and hope you get well soon.
Thank you so much.
Too. And that concludes another edition of County Line, and it's also our final edition for 2011. Next year will be our 5th year of bringing you programs that feature news and information about Allen County government. We hope you're finding these programs useful and informative, and that they're giving you a better insight as to how county government operates. A reminder for you that you can catch any of the segments of this program or any of our previous County Line shows online through our video on demand service or the county's YouTube channel. You can find both of those by going to our website, www.allencounty.us. I'm Mike Green, Public Information Officer in the Allen County Commissioner's Office, and we'll see you again next time on County Line. Thank you.